Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to my continuing attempts to make ogres work in the dungeon. Um, I've decided that what I'm going to do is go ahead and make a new playlist of just ogre runs and try and come up with some ogrely name for the thing. For now, though, we will just continue making them. So, here comes the next ogre. His name is Mugg. Given how well the last hunter went, I want to try the exact same goddamn thing. I mentioned in a comment on the YouTube forums, I believe, yes, that I'm probably 3 to 4 runs away from actually making one all the way through the lair. That I consistently overestimate the power and make silly mistakes because, you know, it's like I get impatient or whatever. All it's going to take is one run where I don't do that and I'll be golden. So, I'm going to keep at it now for the time being and see if I can make that run this one. So, big lessons that we learned last time are as follows. You want to utilize throwing weapons broadly. You don't have to worry about always using rocks. If you're training throwing skill, that gives you a nice wide array of weapons. You can get the net, you get the, you get nets, you get javelins, you get various kinds of branded darts and tipped stuff. Weapons of returning, all of these things can be utilized to help you make your foes succumb. So, be more flexible in what you use, and use what you get well. Further to that point, we are going to go ahead and enable a few more auto pickups. Gather up nets when you find them, gather up javelins, large rocks, and I'm going to leave stones off, but manually pick those up myself. That should about do it. These are just good tools for me to pick up. I don't know why I'm even engaging in melee range at all right now. I guess it's because I don't have any other default weapon. There we go. Now I have a default weapon. I will throw things at people first, and then pummel them second. So there goes the spear, there goes a large rock. He's down. As much as I encourage frequent use of your large rocks, compared to, say, you know, not using them at all, that does not mean that you should arbitrarily use your large rocks. Save it for when you need a sudden damage boost. You need to be dealing more damage quickly, whether it's because the enemy you're up against is, you know, dangerous, lethal on contact for some reason, or just because there's 2 or 3 of them, so you don't know how long the fight will last when you need to end quickly. As much as Okuwaru is not a must, in terms of ammo refills, I still feel like of the god choices available, him or Maghleb are my obvious first picks for this kind of a run. And one thing was brought to my attention, and that is that even if you can get branded GSCs, giant spike clubs, there's not a particularly high probability of getting one. Even with a high maces and flail skill, you're more likely to just get a bigger and bigger cudgel of some kind. And quite frankly, when playing a giant class, if you go the maces and flails right with the giant class and you don't go with the giant spike clubs, it's kind of like, well, why not? That's like the one great weapon in the game in that class. So, probably going to end up going that route. So that just means that Okuwaru's gifting is only going to be good for me for armors. And given that as a troll I can only wear, like, what, 1/3 the armor as usual? Yeah, I literally got a cloak, helmet, and armor slot, and that's it. And my armor slot is heavily restricted. So, kind of sort of meh about that even. I mean, it probably will, in fairness, you can think of it the other direction too. It means that I'll be more likely to get good armor since there's less slots he's providing for, etc. So, it'll be easy to max out my armor and such. But I don't know, whatever. So I'm still sticking with Okuwaru right now for a combination of because it's obvious and because it's simple, and because I have yet to really make this build my own. I'm just toying around with the most obvious first choices. But when I eventually get to the point of being like, okay, this is how I play ogres, Okuwaru will, suffice to say, probably not be my final choice. Oh, we got stones. Excellent. And that's the other nice thing about Okuwaru is, much like Trog, he just gets the job done. The only reason I'm not going Trog specifically is because that would be too much of a bonus to give myself. It would be like putting on training wheels. Trog gives me Berserk, which gets me out of my own stupidity once or twice a game, once or twice in a row, And after that, you know, if that isn't enough to get you out of stupidity, then you just die. He gives me Trog's Hand, which is such a powerful spell by itself. I mean, all these spells are so great. But the moment you decide to say, okay, well, let's try not being a troglodyte, it fails. The other reason not to is because I do want to keep spells as a possibility. I do hope to go Ogre Mage at some point, just to try it out. A high health endgame Ogre would be a lot of fun. Actually, no, because you're missing all the armor slots, but whatever. But yeah, the problem with Okawaru, of course, is that his altar is, while of the altars that, you know, aren't guaranteed in the Ecumenical Temple, his is fairly common to have there. It's by no means guaranteed to be an early altar, and the later you go in the dungeon, the harder it becomes to maintain piety with Okawaru, simply because... or to gain piety, I should say. Simply because Okawaru rewards hard kills more than easy kills, and hard is relative to, you know, your power level. So it's kind of like, if you find Okawaru right at the beginning of the game, all these little snakes are giving you piety. If you find him later, all little snakes will no longer give you piety anymore, period, no matter where you found them. Okay, you know what am I wearing right now? Am I wearing, is there any armor I can wear yet? Nope, okay, never mind then. Next floor. Floor 3, so far so good. Pretty autopilot, pretty autopilot. Again, we're focusing down throwing and fighting. This is how I like it. The only other thing is I'm going to pick up the first mace and cudgel I find now, so that I can begin training into that. Because that is my goal is to have a good melee weapon in the clubs. Once it hits level 2, I will swap the dagger out for it, probably. Also, I need to keep my eyes peeled for using a lower power but better accuracy one while I still continue to train. Alright, we don't need magical power nearly as much as we need protection from magic. And you know what? I should be IDing these potions much as I can. Okay, we have found invisibility, which actually proves instrumental to keeping you alive when you remember you have it, and in the early game especially. It's just that it becomes so much less useful in the late game that I tend to think of it as being useless overall, when in reality, you know, if you're in a stage of the game where most of your enemies can't see, it's a pretty massive buff, actually. Okay, we're gonna switch to the mace. Mace is a plus 3/8 weapon versus the club, which is a plus 3/5. And at only 10% extra speed, it's a steal. Not a steal, sorry, it's an obvious choice. Go ahead and pelt you guys with stonies. Yeah, this macro I set up, that F, instead of offering me a targeting screen, simply goes straight to firing on the most obvious target, has saved me a lot of time. It's like half as many buttons to do my standard attacks. That's a Curari firer, so let's get into melee range with him and hope he, stops using the Curari needles. I wonder if I untrained can use needles. I'm assuming it works off the throwing skill. Let's find out. I did not pick up the blowgun. IF la 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 la. Yes, it is in fact a throwing bonus. Holy crap, this changes everything. Show me the needles, people. Okay, Curari needles are great for knocking out a single target single target that you need paralyzed or immobilized or something. As long as you don't use it too often. I used Curari in my troll assassin run against Sigmund and against run. This would be a good chance to Curari, I guess. Okay, wield back my mace. Cudgel. Yeah, I used it against the troll. Oh, right, I have my stones for heavy-duty DPS. I need to remember that, my big stones. I've just gotten so used to not using them this run that I forgot I even had them. But yeah, doing a good job with these needles is going to just be fantastic for my power as an ogre hunter. As I say that, it sounds like I'm saying the hunter of ogres, but, you know, this is not the anti-Shrek club. Let's continue to read out some of these potions. And I apparently picked up a kobold skeleton at some point. We're also going to test read a bunch of scrolls in general. Notice that I went upstairs before I did this in case of the teleport, which sure enough happened. If this is an enchant, it would have been an enchant armor, and I didn't use it correctly. That's an enchant weapon. Excellent. Okay, we're back to where we need to be. All these scrolls have been read. I found my remove curse scroll. Well, probable remove curse scroll, which is again excellent. And this is probably a ecumenical temple in the middle of all this. Okay, or it's just really, really difficult to navigate through. Let's move towards the exit. Oh crap, that's not the exit. Quiver me something dangerous. Large rocks would be great. Alright, we definitely want to fire on the snake. And we'll kill everybody else. Okay. Quiver me the stones and fire on the gecko. +4 robe of augmentation. Holy crap, that is an amazing piece of equipment. So, we already know what I'm saving up money for at this point. +4 to all stats is just a fantastic boon. Oh, he's perfect. Okay, we're gonna quiver up the javelins. I don't care if they all run out. I just want to make maximum use of them while I still have them. You know, it feels like I'm spreading my experience too far given just how many different killing options I have. But then I think about it and realize all these killing options fall under the umbrella of throwing. That's just fantastic, actually. Throwing feels like a very early game skill to me, but it feels like a good early game skill. Okay, that's going to be a pike hell behind all of them, so let's get all of them taken care of first. Do I have a wand? I do. Let's see what I got. Yes, it hits them all. Okay. Wait a turn. Get pike hell in on the deal. We'll throw javelins in the meantime. Can pike hell be hit by this wand from that range? Yes, he can. Excellent. I don't care if the slaves die or don't die, but pike hell has to go down. Oh, wow. That was the first blast that actually hit him. Okay, now he's in firing range, so we'll just shoot him. And switch over to high DPS weapons, and then shoot him again. Yeah, this was not a case of an enemy that needed a boulder treatment. Boulder. Boulder treatment, that's great. Yeah. I'll be honest with you guys. I don't even need the large rocks at this point. I'm using so many different tools that it's just one more tiny tool in a larger toolkit. Which is how it should be. At this point, I'm more taken by the possibility of being a Curari firer. So I'm just using the large rocks as backup, honestly. And through it all, my mace strength is... Ooh, is that a spiked flail? So, 160%, -2 and 12, versus... a current weapon. +3 and 8, 140%. Yeah, we'll stick with what we're using now. Obviously long term I don't care about the minus, but this is not long term. And right now the lower attack speed, or the lower delay, I guess, is more important to me. Given these things' propensity for disappearing, we'll switch to higher damage weapons immediately. And then poison weapons. Okay, he's down. For the love of God, give me an Okawaru altar. It's floor 5. Admittedly, I recognize that this is still early for an altar, but, you know, man can dream, and I'm dreaming. Okay, Morning Stars, as I understand it, are some of the best weapons in the game for the mace class. Up there with Evening Stars if you want to go one-handed. It's only a 10% increase in delay, so I will switch to the Morning Star and ditch my mace. Also, I don't need these unaided weapons anymore, so drop this sword and the dagger and all that. Though I will hang on to this hand axe, because that could be a good hurler's weapon in a pinch. Oh, shit. That was a one-turn paralysis, but can't take advantage of it. While you're behind the wall, will cold. Cold runs out, okay. Quiver me the rocks in preparation. Okay, that worked. Switch over to stones and finish the job. I still have 4 of my large rocks. Oh, I wonder what this book is. I didn't even notice I picked that up. Flame Tongue. Well, why the hell not? I don't think I'll ever use it, but you never know. Maybe I'll come up against an ice beast and not feel like using my rocks. But let's put it this way: the most useful spells for my ogre are not going to be damage, but utility based, and this ain't it. That's not to say that there is no good utility spells in the Fire book. Conjure Flame is an immensely good utility spell, but I refuse to try and get a 2-school Conjurations plus Fire level 3 spell up to snuff when I have a precious experience deficit. Butterflies, on the other hand, is just a overall pretty good book or spell, especially now. I guess once I follow Okawaru, it won't be anymore, will it? Should have thought of that. I'm saving money because Robe of Augmentation, so I'm not gonna just go willy-nilly on everything. Totally just test my different wands out. Okay, so far so good. Get out of the mass kill range. That's everybody. Anything here of note? No. Yes, switch back to my main weapon. Start firing stuff at the orc. He really thinks he's gonna win a throwing war against an ogre. He's sadly mistaken. Why are maces and flails not being trained? They're at 0 this whole time. They're at 0. I can't believe what an oversight that is. Although now that I think about it, that might actually be the right way to play. It's better to have 1 skill you're really good at than 3 skills you're marginally good at. And as much as I'm used to the idea of training 2 or 3 things at once, that doesn't mean that it's necessarily the right way to do it. Notice that I intentionally wielded my intended final game weapon before I started reading scrolls randomly. Just on the off chance it got enchanted, and it in fact did, so that paid off. Uncursed Giant Club. Barring being a negative enchant, it's reasonable. So, of these, Dig is going to be a really useful utility spell if it was appropriate level, but it's not. So I'm probably just going to make do with the wand version. I will hang on to the book, because as of now, the weight and the item slot aren't important. And if I find myself buried somewhere and needing to dig, maybe I have the tools at my disposal to, like, I don't know, use Brilliance or something and make it happen. Okay, charge the Centaur first. He's the one who's going to kill me. Quiver something deadly. And then fire on the Centaur. Okay, the Centaur is down. That's the most important step. Next, heal wounds. I don't think I can take all 4 of these guys on. I'm going to paralyze the front one and run away. That will buy me the room I need. Now I'm going to quiver the ordinary stones and start pelting the rest of them. Okay, so far so good. We're once again going to attempt the paralysis trick. While paralyzed, I will pummel the crap out of him. And one-on-one, I think I've got this. That is called using every tool at your disposal. I didn't have to use them. I'm sure I could have gotten away some other way. But my default knee-jerk response would have been use potion, heal, use potion, heal. Making the most out of less than perfect resources is great. And when you're up against a low MR enemy like a gnoll, you know, you can be fairly sure that you'll have some potential, at least, of getting off your spells thingy. I'll beat the moccasin. Eat an apricot. And we're gonna ID some more potions. Z, R, E, J, M, V. Okay, that's all of them. The last scroll of ID, we're gonna ID the ring. Sustainabilities is at best situational, at worst useless. And here we are, the Ecumenical Temple. We're a little late, but no matter. Please let there be an Oka altar. I think there was. I should really go with Machleb, but, you know, not gonna. So, shoulda, woulda, coulda. Oh, wow, there are 4 large rocks just sitting on the floor here. I don't know why, but now I'm set for large rocks for the rest of the game. That's why I don't generally go out of my way to pick up large rocks. To worship a god just for the sake of large rocks. I worship Okawaru because I'm afraid of change. We obviously don't have the strength to carry this kind of weaponry, so we're going to drop 1 of the large rocks, 20 of the stones, because, you know, I have better now. Don't need darts anymore. Hang on to the poisoned stuff, the needles, hang on to the javelins. Drop the used up wand. No, hang on to the used up wand. If I come across a recharge scroll, that's my top priority. Drop one of my bread rations. Drop another of my bread rations. Eat. No. Finishing all the grapes. Okay, what else? Drop magical power. Drop sustainabilities. Come on, give me something here. The javelins and the rocks are really where the weight's coming from. So we're going to drop one additional rock. But now I know where my cache of rocks is, and I can always come back here for more. And rocks are immune to slime eating off the floor, so... yeah. Excellent. Moving right along. How's that maces and flails training coming? It's coming. Good. New wand. Testing. Confusion. And holy crap, that is a clusterfuck with a smiter. Let's get out of the way. We're gonna fight on the stairs, actually. Definitely want large rocks queued up. That's several takedowns. That's all of the important targets. Now I just need to get away. Other advantage to having more large rocks elsewhere in the dungeon is I can always go and find them. These hand axes clearly were meant to be thrown. So let's just pick them all up and see if we can't figure out... wow, they're fired. We'll ditch one of the hand axes, and we'll ditch 2 of the nets, because... no, nets are utility items. We'll ditch 9 of the stones, and the wand of magic darts can go too. Because clearly if I'm at range from something, I'm not going to be shooting magic darts at it, I'm going to be shooting my ammo at it. Okay, we still have enough large rocks to really pelt this army, and this is a reasonable distance, so let's start going at it. That's the big one. The rest of them we can take out manually. Oh, we're worshippers of Okawaru, so sacrifice all these corpses. What am I thinking? I completely forgot about that corpse sacrifice thing. Yeah, whatever you can't pick up, just ditch. One more layer of strength, and then we're going to start side grading. 22 strength is enough for most anything I would use strength for. Again, don't aim to have a full armament of all, the rocks you have with you. 8 or 9 is plenty. Hell, it may be too many. Okay, one of those is going to be remove curse, so we're just going to try this on and see what happens. It doesn't say, so we're just going to take it back off again. As a rule of thumb, I don't like wearing un-ID'd jewelry, and while this is especially true for the amulets, it's still kind of true for the rings. If I don't know what it's doing, then maybe it's not doing me any good. Okay, get out of the way of the centaur. Oh, he came to me. How kind of him. Boom. Hit him in the face. He's dead. This one I'm going to butcher because I do need the food. Sure enough, I had to eat twice. Try the new ring out. It's cursed. One of these is remove curse. Put back on the ring that isn't cursed. Excellent. New amulet. Put on the new amulet. It's untyped. Remove it because you don't know what it is. It could be an amulet of inaccuracy and all my attacks will start missing. It could be an amulet of stasis and my urgent teleport will fail. It could be a lot of things. Just boulder. Yeah, at this point, assuming that all of my current rocks mulch, I will still have enough large rocks to keep going as if I hadn't mulched any. 3 or 4 is plenty. So, there's no reason to conserve large rocks. Keep eating, keep exploring. Okay, that's another floor. Finish off the remainder of what food I have with me. What did I say I was going to do when I came across this? Oh yeah, attempt a fire tongue. It kind of hit. Now we're just going to pummel him to death with my mace. That totally hit. We're going to sneak around. Sneak as an ogre, right. Definitely need to start throwing rocks because something here is dealing a lot more damage than I anticipated. It's so nice to be able to use my rocks so liberally. I'll just pummel you in the face with my mace. Sacrifice your body. Hell, this whole side grade thing into mace, maybe it's not as urgent as I'm thinking. Maybe I can afford to make that like the last... Oh, you know I'm gonna get Mephitic Cloud, even if it's a 20 to 1 odds I ever get it castable. It's just so my favorite spell. We'll ditch both these books while we're at it. Actually, no, we're keeping the Stalking book for a very specific, unlikely scenario of physically needing Dig to survive, and I do have a Potion of Brilliance now, so, you know, it's possible I can get it off in a pinch. We're just gonna go ahead and enchant this, and then switch it back to Morning Star. How's our attack speed? Below average? Go figure. It takes a while to get that fixed. Rocks, for sure, before he starts summoning things to make it impossible. Took all 6. It's impressive. Of course, what's more impressive is just how easily everything else gets pummeled to death in one shot. I'm so tempted to test quaff these potions, but it's just going to end badly, I'm so sure of it. Generally, when you've been very careful, that's the time where that's when you suffer the "but the one time that blah blah blah" effect. Whereas when you're being overall careless, you tend to get lucky. Or rather, you tend to feel like you're getting lucky more. We're definitely going to go Paralysis on the door to keep those guys at bay. Notice that the Orc just held them in place while I have the chance to retreat. And now we're going to pummel... I'm not going to go back for the rocks right now. I'm just going to continue running away. This rock I can stop to pick up because it's right here. Keep running away. I don't care what follows me. It's fine. We'll deal. Just the potential of being smitten repeatedly and then killed is just too much. And if I've learned one lesson from my previous Ogre runs, it's that I need to stop thinking like I'm a high tier character. This is one of the lowest tier starting races. Okay, it's not, but it feels to me like one of the lowest tier... Here's the truth. It is one of the lowest tier starting races that I've ever played. So, a lot of the boons that I'm used to having, like, it doesn't matter, just train 6 skills at once. It's not like you need to specialize. Yeah, you don't get that luxury. Yes! Multiple invisibilities is practically like giving me an extra life. It's not true, but if I use it right, I can make it true. This had better be a giant spiked club. No, this club is just a giant club. I thought it was a giant spiked club. So it is not my final endgame weapon. It is merely a stepping stone to the same. I need to keep looking for the GSC. Gotta remember there's 2 of those. Okay, next floor, and I'm very hungry, so for God's sake, give me food. Orc is food. Ooh, new amulets. We're gonna ID the artifact. Rage, Dex, and Int is all good. Then we're gonna ID the rings. And I did say plural. Oh no, we're gonna do the potion. And we're gonna do the remaining ring. Okay. The ability to control teleport is not something I need constantly. It's something I need momentarily, and so I will use it for that purpose. Life protection this early on is typically inferior to cold protection. The amulet gives me a stat boost, so that's fine. But the evocable rage is going to be so low likelihood that I would be better off using the rage potions in any situation where I would require rage. Definitely want to take a moment to eat before the army hits me. Nothing that smites or shoots from range, which is promising. Give them a little bit of room, then rock their world. Okay. Shout a couple times for centaur attention. Yup, just as expected. Let's keep giving everybody room to come at me in the order that I'm ready to deal with them. Start throwing rocks at people. And sacrificing any corpses that I am capable of sacrificing. I have enough rations that I've straight up dropped other rations. So that I'll be able to do stuff. Rock, you down. Okay, here's something that occurs to me as a possibility, just thinking out loud. What about Ashin Zari? It's kind of off the beaten path, admittedly, but as an ogre, I'm not going to be switching much of anything ever. Well, I guess I know. Ring swapping is still a thing. But I get the benefit of bonus training to... No, I don't really need the bonus training to fighting or clubs, because I have the +3. I guess the only real benefits I get are the clairvoyance, which is huge. Okay, that was not the one I was looking for. I get the recharging, which... or the clairvoyance... The ability to see enemies through walls, whatever the actual name is, which is really cool. But not, at the end of the day, necessary if my modus operandi is to just take things a step at a time constantly anyway. I get the ability to eventually say all that mana, that EXP that I put into throwing, switch it up and put it into something else. But then what else would I put it into? Throwing is actually pretty darn useful thus far, and it probably will remain so for a while. Lord knows endgame ogres are quite scary when they decide to start chucking rocks at you, especially if you lack the repel missiles to stop it. Alright, well, so far so good. Just leave it at that for the moment, eh? Have we found any needles in the dungeon? I must have forgotten to turn on auto pickup on needles. Let's fix that. Since I am now equipping a blowgun, definitely want poison needles to equip it with. All this stuff is probably great, but I'm an eyes on the prizing moment right here. I'm definitely in need of potions of heal wounds to be... I both need them and I need them ID'd. I don't know if they're ID'd yet or even or not. Oh my god, are you seriously not dying to rock attacks? Curing is necessary because of how bad I let the situation get. We're gonna attempt the paralyze trick. It worked. Use that to buy me some distance. This is a fairly secluded spot, so we'll heal over here. Dog found us. Rock. Stay away from the Goliath beetle. Okay. Rock. Frogs down. Sack it. So far, so good. Go ahead and wield the blowgun, and we're gonna go poison to kill the beetle. Because they generally don't like being poisoned, and you can stack a lot of poison on them pretty easily with the blowgun. Then we'll switch back to my Morningstar to finish the job if necessary. Nope, he ran. Okay, I now have so many javelins, I should switch over to javelins for the sake of throwing. You'll see, though, that I'm very clearly not being like, rocks only, nothing else, because there's no point. Shit. Sacrifice that. There are 4 large rocks on the floor. I don't know why. Maybe they were all here from before, but we are going to make for the exit because half health with a horde of orcs on me is a dangerous situation. And on the one hand, it's like, oh no, you're escaping through the red stair. It won't come back. On the other hand, it's like, you're escaping. Let's focus on that for the moment, shall we? I'm going to ditch a bunch of the hand axes I carry with me. I don't really need them all. I'm going to use the scroll of ID on my amulet. Our mutation is fine. We'll wear the amulet of resist mutation while test quaffing potions. Okay, so far so good. And then swap back to my awesome artifact amulet. Should actually be the name, the AAA. I have a new want test. And I'm still burdened. No longer burdened. Next floor. Okay, we'll continue working on the problem of the orcs. You know, I have the ability to poison him from distance, so there's no reason to get in melee with this guy. I have the ability to do everything at him from distance, actually. There we go. He's down. Javelins. See if we can't get... Yep, got him in range. Can I deal with this? Yes. Oh. 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 Sorry. Yeah, at this point I have almost as many stones as I have javelins, We're gonna ditch the ripped up net. We're gonna ditch... Well, just ditch the ripped up net and ditch the stones. If you find yourself using stones, ask yourself why you're not using better weapons. That's like hanging on to your first dagger. Okay, we got gifts. Darts of Flame. Normally I'd be very pissed off, Okuwaru, but this game I've realized something. I'm not reliant on my rocks. Anything that's thrown can be fairly lethal if you have a decent amount of throwing training, so you go ahead and give me all the rocks you want, piece of crap. What I really want now is a giant spiked club, and actually we should see that. Yeah, it does not exist in the dungeon yet. Giant spike club would be nice, and while I wouldn't mind a few more of like good items, I don't require them. We're gonna ditch the Wand of Frost, actually. I mean, if I'm ever in a situation where I'm firing on a single target, I'm hoping I have something other than wand zaps to be using. I do a lot of this throwing stuff until I feel like they're crippled, and then charging them down for single targets. It's not strictly speaking necessary. I could keep firing until they hit me. Or, you know, more likely they die. Especially for the poison ones. But I don't know, I just feel like pummeling something that you've weakened with... weakening something and finishing off with a mace, it just has its own level of satisfaction to it. Alright, give me the javelins again. Alright, that's floor 8 complete. We're damn near close to reaching the lair, I think. Put on the resist mutation amulet and then test quaff the new potion. Okay, put on my actual amulet. You guys are jackals. You appear on the first floor. You'll forgive me if I'm not impressed seeing you here on the 9th. Okay, but I shouldn't have sacked them all. I should have eaten at least one of them. New Wand of Paralysis is great. Let's finish off the old one. I'll be honest. Oh, wait, the old one was finished, eh? Oh no, it just doesn't do anything if you have no target. I'll be honest with you, when I first picked up the Wand of Paralysis this game, I did not anticipate using it at all. But coming up with one creative usage of it made me, like, realize, hey, that actually works. You can, instead of using it to incapacitate an enemy, which always begs the question to my mind, why didn't you just kill it? And, you know, now that I'm using a thrower, it's actually even more of a pertinent question. I'm using it to block hallways, and that is a fantastic use of it. Vamps are scary because they come in sets of 4 usually. We're gonna make sure to large rock it. Oh, hey, we ran out of a rock. Excellent. 2 rocks mulched so far. Again, if it had been my only weapon, this would be a significant cause of concern. But since I have I have many weapons, and B, I have spare rocks even, I mean, it's just beyond not an issue. You are all so pummeled. And then we'll just sacrifice everything as we approach. I'm debating the necessity of studying hammer on the side, honestly. At least for the purposes of making it to the lair and clearing the lair. It seems like my thrown weapons would do the job quite admirably, especially since I don't seem to suffer a penalty to throwing at melee range. The only thing I'm thinking is, it's practically, I mean, not free, but it's really cheap for me to be studying throwing. It's not like I'm taking a -1 or just a +1 ability. It's a +3 ability. I mean, if you're gonna study something, you want it to be this well trained. And that makes me, like, you know, look the other way when I realize that I'm basically only using my club for convenience, not because of necessity. Oh, score. So Blink is a very necessary spell. If indeed any spells are necessary. A source of being able to blink is important, but given that I have a Ring of Control teleport, it takes on a whole new level of... It takes on a new level of significance. I'm even seriously considering side trading into translocations right now, just to bring that down from 50%. We'll see how insane this becomes. But, yeah, we'll give it a moment and see. Javelins should kill the bee at range. More. The other thing, if I run out of javelins, that's not a big deal, because they're just one of my many armaments. In fact, let's go ahead and... Actually, one of my many is not quite true anymore. I do have a... There's a finiteness that is not implied when I make it sound like, oh, I have so much. Anyway, we're almost at the lair. If we hit lair, I'm just going to go ahead and stop for the time being and complete it later. You'll notice that I didn't make the same suicidal mistake I did last time of being like, hey, let's try and take out orc early. That's because I'm choosing to play a bit more carefully this game. Also, somebody had mentioned, and I think they're right in pointing this out, there's a particular weakness of the style of play in a one versus many fight. Much like the one I just walked into, as a matter of fact. We'll see how this goes, but for the time being, let's attempt to get repel missiles on before I approach. Just because you just know they're going to be throwing stuff at you. This is not a situation where I want to be using my hard-to-retrieve weapons. So instead I'm going to be using confusion to make them drown, if possible. Okay. Yeah, because there's no convenient way to get onto that island and get my stuff back should I use it up. Though I need to also be careful not to waste my confused charges on enemies that aren't worth killing. That hurt like the odds be dickens. I'm gonna back off. Oh, hey, somehow he came out from behind the wall. Now I can just javelin him. And you'll notice I'm very intentionally staying back. I want to have a portal that I can retreat to. Right. V. R. Confused. Miss. Let us move in the northern direction. Okay, bolts of electricity are even more terrifying than the orcs, so we'll head back east. Okay, that one's outside already, so let him come to me. Javelins, I should be able to beat him out straight up. Sacrifice his corpse. If I had an X of returning, I would totally use it. Oh! Yet another. Quiver me the rocks. This is not going fast enough. Damn it. So, yeah, moral of the story here was that I just got cocky. I did the math and I was like, I'll be fine. I could easily have gone a little bit more. Oh! Scroll of Acquirement, and I didn't even bother reading it. Shoot. Yeah, you gotta take your medicine, and in my case, my medicine is getting used to the relative strength of my ogres and getting better with them. Here I've got all Mugg, Ogre, and Grug are all in the same spot, actually. It's kind of cool. Anyway, that's all for now. Thanks for watching. I will see you guys next time.